Howdy chaps, and welcome back to another episode of Graham's Restorations. You might notice that I'm changing up the title, the channel a little bit. You'll also see a funky new intro that I made on some other website, which I thought was quite cool. It's not stupidly long, it's not stupidly outlandish, but I thought I just want to make the channel better. So I'm using the new camera, the new mic, my new stand, got a new intro. I'm starting the channel with, you know, what I just said, welcome back to Graham's Restorations. When we do episodes in the workshop, it'll be Graham's Restorations, or when I'm at home it might be Project EJ, XB or EJ. I don't want to lose the quirkiness that you guys seem to enjoy. Also noticed the other day that I think I might be giving Peter Anderson a run for his money with hair length. Not that I'm going for the mullet look, but I just can't be bothered cutting my hair, and I don't mind it being that long. I did trim the beard to make myself look a little less hobo-esque. So, without too much crap talking, today's task in this episode, I'm hoping you'll like it. We're going to remove the Beaver panel, and over there we have the bonnet of the Landau. Now, the underside wasn't fantastic, but it's the underside of the bonnet, and I was having a particularly bad day the other day. It also continued to yesterday, when the bad day from the other day was continuing, where I don't believe I cleaned the gun out properly, even though I did it the same way I'd always done it. We had about 2 days of 30+ degree weather, and it actually evaporated all the thinners that were in the gun, and all the paint that was still sort of in there just went rock solid and totally screwed the spray gun. So after 7 years, I killed it with a simple mistake. So yesterday we had to do a bit of running around. There's a bit of a gap between this episode and the last one because, you know, some family issues happen in the background and people need a bit of looking after. But yeah, so we're back and we've got some new things to show you, which I'll show you that in a second. So yeah, here we go. I also don't want to add too much shit talking in the beginning of the episodes now, so I'm trying to limit it to keeping that to a minimum, keeping the action high, because I noticed when I did the bonnet painting video there was a hell of a lot of talking and not a lot of action. So I want to change that up. I see what people write, I see what the analytics do, so I want to change that. So the inside of the bonnet is all blue. Now I want to re-prime the top of it, even though it's probably quite acceptable to you could probably just block it down and paint it, but I just want to prime the top side again. I just want to block it down with 320 and then prime it again. So what I've done is I've run the tape line very close to the edge. I'm not too worried about it because there will be paint go over the edge, and I've taped it up, bagged it up, all that stuff. Then we're going to flip the bonnet. I'll block the top with my board file, which seems to be not near me. Block it with the board file with 320. I'll put it on that trestle, which I put my new rags on. So normally the trestles have foam on them, but the foam gets crap on them and they get hard. So periodically, when I've got something that's freshly painted, I'll always wrap it in clean rags, and then that way it doesn't get scratched up. Nothing worse than a freshly painted thing scratched up. We also bought this at Bunnings for a bit of a, who knows if it's going to be any good. This was fairly cheap, I reckon. Yeah, stay. I'd never seen it before. We've got, how many sandblasters we got? We got this one, we got that one, we have a little hand one, and I don't know, maybe we have less than I thought. Now we have this one. This one looked to be, looks like it's not going to be too bad. Looks like it will take a full 25 kilo bag of sand, or almost. And it's got the same nozzle as the inside of the sandblasting cabinet, so I think that mightn't be too bad. We're going to give it a whirl. It was fairly cheap. I think it was 60 something bucks, so I think that'll be quite good, because we're going to get the Beaver panel off this, and then when we bare metal that quarter, because that's all we really got left, and we'll sandblast the back panel with it off, and the quarters and everything, and all around the channels and everything. Also, we have something so awesome coming for this car. You might know that I collaborate a little bit with Automotive Carnage, old DJ up in WA. He's got something awesome for me. It's going to be cool. I'm excited. That episode should be coming out sometime this week, or maybe on the weekend. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. You're going to like it. I hope you're going to like it. I think it's going to be fun. I also went and did some car part shopping for him yesterday. I did a trip to U-Pullet for some Camry parts for him, because it seems that getting parts in the middle of nowhere for modern cars is very difficult, but it was a piece of cake for me, so I didn't mind, considering he's doing a fair bit for me. I quite enjoy returning the favour. So something really cool coming up for that. That'll be a very good episode. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. And so I now have a dead Blue Point spray gun. I'm not going to throw it out because it might serve some parts down the track. I got a Total Tools spray gun. I made sure it's got a fairly fine tip. There is a difference about them. So this is another fine example of the hot weather, and then it went freezing cold. Expanded and then contracted. I got myself a cheap Bunnings spec spray gun for doing primer. So that doesn't look offensive. It's not going to be a showstopper, so I wanted to have two guns for priming and painting, so there's that. So enough chit chat, paddy whack, give the dog a bone. I might have to wait for the old boy to come back to help me flip this over, but in the short term I will start drilling off that. So stay tuned. I thought I'd just iterate something just then. I happened to notice when I rewatched the video just then that my board file was actually sitting in shot. I just was looking the wrong way because I'm a bit of a moron. So we want to save this Beaver panel for old Wayne at Wayne's garage. He's not that old, but he wants to play with this so that he can, I assume, try and make a copy. He will have to deal with the fact that it's got a dirty great big bend right through the guts of it, which I will actually have to panel beat that out. So across the top of here, I think Dad's already been here, as you can see, and he was using a normal drill bit instead of a spot weld drill bit. So I will rectify that. I'll have to get my belt sander here, because I mentioned in the other videos that this car has 3 slots through here for the fact that the spot welder from the factory can't get through here. So what they've done is they've put 3 little holes, oval holes in here, so that it can just blob a bit of weld so it's attached. I did notice, and it bummed me out a smidgen, that the reproduction panels for EHs on the back are significantly better than the ones for EJ. So I was actually umming and ahhing about buying an EH one and modifying it to fit, because I believe the difference is in this section here. I believe an EH one, I can't quite remember what it was, but it's a different shape just in the corner. The rest of it is very much the same, but just here is different. But the reason I liked the EH one is because it had the 3 little holes and all the correct things, but the EJ one didn't. So I'm umming about getting the EH one and modifying it to suit EJ, which isn't too bad. And the interesting thing is, from factory, if you were going for a concourse restoration, you'd have to leave it looking that crap. It's weird, isn't it? But and it led through the top of here, which is a bit of a gap filler. So I need to belt sand off the 3 blobs on this side, there's 3 on that side, and then drill out all these welds, and the sucky bit's going to be the bottom lip under here, which is directly up, so that's going to suck muchly. And then we can have this off. I'll just gingerly chisel it off through the top of there, just down, and that should just pop off, and we should be exposed with the inner. And I expect the inner to look incredibly rusty. So, dang. And a little thing for anybody who's chasing this channel for rust repair, the stuff is coming. I promise you, I'll be getting back into some hardcore rust repair very, very soon if I'm staring at the film chamber of this car. So I'm going to switch to the other camera for a time lapse and catch up in a second. we've managed to turn the bonnet over. I actually started getting some of that out, as you may see in some time lapse just before. And right, so I bodyworked this pretty thoroughly. The key is to actually get your bodywork done, your bog work, as close to done before you put primer on, in my opinion. It seems to work the best. And the argument of, do you put bog over bare steel or over paint, or it's like opening Pandora's box with that one. The answer to your question, what you should put bog over, is go get your tin of bog, whatever you're using, go online, look up the data sheet. You just type in that product, the data sheet for it, and it will tell you what substrate, which is the thing you're putting it on, it can go on. Most bog likes to go on bare metal. Now, that's going to cause a whole pile of arguments I'm not going to get involved in. The ultimate question is, what's it go on? Read your data sheet, it will tell you what you need to do. So there are some that can go on primer and bog. Like there are some bogs that are designed to go over paint and previous bog work and stuff, and there are some that are designed to go on bare steel. So it comes down to the manufacturer of your particular tin of body filler. So there's your answer to your question. Now, this particular stuff that I put on here goes on bare steel. So the bonnet was bare metalled, then the bog, and then it's been, I think there's 4 heavy coats of 2K high build primer on it, and it's spent some time sinking. As you can see that there are some sanding marks in it. You may not be able to see them, but there is. So I'm going to block this down with 320 on a board file. This is a board file. And then I'm going to coat it again with the same primer again. And then once that goes off, I will rub that down with 400, then 800, and then I will paint it blue. We'll also this time hang it on the crane. And we have a cantilever sunshady thing, like a big umbrella that we bought for 2/10 of stuff all from Bunnings, that we're going to attempt to hang above it, so that the crane will have so basically the bonnet will have its own little umbrella over the top, so the dirt from the ceiling won't land in it. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to rub this down. The old boy is going to do this, and we'll catch you up in a second. So chaps, I didn't really want to bore you with about 40 tonne of sanding, because it's super uninteresting. When I'm talking about bodywork that's uninteresting, this is what I'm talking about. It's not very exciting. All you're just seeing is sanding, 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 and potentially some more sanding. He's over here doing some paint stripping at the moment, which, because I've already bare metaled this quarter panel once before and then put Epitech on it, it's actually coming off quite nicely. He still needs to do a bit more, but that's coming along. I just wanted to block the bonnet down and prime it before completely tackling this. I did a little bit, and then he came back, I had turned over, and then I focused on the bonnet, so we're going to get back into this in a jiffy, but that's coming up rather nice. So, and actually this blocked out pretty good too, so you might see it rubbed through in a couple of places, and that's why I wanted to prime it again, because if you were just to go over it like as it was to paint it, you would rub through and you're like, ah, bugger. So this way I can rectify a few issues and just block it out properly. I did a bit of 240 and a bit of 320, and it's come out pretty damn straight, but obviously there's still a couple of little issues in it, but it's not too bad. So I'm just going to rub down the grooves, double check that the tape is good underneath, and I'm going to throw some primer on that and then smash back into this. So we'll catch up in a second. So it is completely blocked down. I am now, what I've done to see if I made any progress is I've got my little bottle of Prepsol, or wax and grease remover as it's affectionately known by a few people, but I call it Prepsol because that's what everybody calls it in the trade. Prepsol. There's still a few little blemishes in it, but at least when you spray your Prepsol all over it in a light mist, it sort of acts kind of like paint, and it sort of levels itself out, and you can get an idea on how straight the thing's looking. And I don't think it's offensive. I'm not a miracle worker, and remember, I'm going to prime it one more time and then block it again before paint, so I think that's looking reasonably straight for a pre-primed bonnet. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not a magician, and I absolutely hate doing bodywork. As a panel beater, I still hate it. I don't mind little stuff, but giant panels and bog work I just despise. I much prefer metalwork, and that's why this business is sort of trying to aim for more. You bring your car in completely stripped, and I'll just fix all the rust, and you take it away and take it to somebody else who does the bodywork. And that's how I would prefer this business to be. That way the floor doesn't end up covered in crap, not to mention everything around it, and I can live in a fairly clean environment. But yeah, that's coming on quite nicely. Alrighty chaps, so I have run over this bonnet with some pinhole spot putty stuff, just to look for any pinholes that might have been there, which there was a couple which have suddenly become incredibly hard to see, but you can see them. Well, I saw them anyway, so I fixed those up. Unfortunately today, the idea of getting that Beaver panel off has been derailed ever so slightly by a certain old man who decided that paint stripping was more important. Doesn't matter, we'll get it off tomorrow, but I wanted to get it off today, but you don't win everything. But at least the quarter panel's coming off quite nice. That is looking absolutely lovely. Yes. So I'm going to throw some primer on this, and then cross paths with him 2 trains in the night. I've got my primer mixed up at a ratio 4:1 because that's what most of them are. I'm going to use this gun, my cheap Ozito gun, for priming, and I've got a slightly cheap but less, well, they're both cheap but less cheap one for painting, and you can actually feel the difference. The triggers feel way different. So that one actually has quite a nice trigger for a cheap gun, and that one you can definitely tell it's a cheap gun. So that one for primer, that one for paint. The primer's ready to rock and roll. The bonnet I'm just going to Prepsol one more time. I've just had it up the other way to just recheck the taping underneath, and I'm going to clean it again and throw the primer on, and then wrap this video up there. I think this, and then tomorrow we should be able to paint this bonnet. We're going to hang it on the crane, use the cover, and hope and pray that it comes out without too much garbage in it. So that's what the next plan is. So stay with me, I'm just going to prime this, and we'll catch you up when it's done. Right, I think that'll do quite nicely for today's effort. Not the most exciting video. I wish I had got that off today, but you can't win everything. And I think that bonnet will now block up quite nicely. I'm not a magician. I can only do as good as I can hope. So at least the primer is laid down fairly flat, and I'm going to block it again. There's still a few ripples in it and stuff, but I never profess to be a spray painter. I just profess to be able to get something out that is at least presentable if you were to drive it daily. Plus it's miles better than what the car looked like at day one, but you can sort of get the idea. It's going to look fairly acceptable, I think. So yeah, I'm going to clean my spray gun. I'm going to clean it thoroughly this time. You can see sometimes how I have my other time-lapsing camera set up sometimes is taped to a trestle and the engine crane, and tomorrow we will be painting this bonnet. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, the new format and everything about it. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.